And we're back. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Rashida Khan on Salam Media, the mid morning talk show. We're going to be moving on with the rest of our show. Another very interesting guest lined up. Don't forget to send us your comments and your questions. Our WhatsApp line is 061 766 So, right now, we're going to be talking about social media effects on mental well being. And we're talking to our friend Camilla Knight-Morake. She is a social auxiliary worker at Islamic Careline. Camilla is an incredibly dedicated social auxiliary worker at Islamic Careline. She originally started as a student social worker and went on to graduate with CATTS, a training program under the Joburg Child Welfare. Joburg Child Welfare is an organization I'm closely associated with them, so I'm happy to hear that you did a training program with them. Camilla also has expertise in counseling and play therapy and is making a real difference in the lives of many. And the other hat that she wears at Islamic Careline is she facilitates the ladies' life skills program. So, yeah, sounds like you're very, very busy. Assalamu alaikum, Kamila, and welcome to the show.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah for having me on air.
It's an absolute pleasure. And as we were just before, while we were doing our little intro and checking mic and all of that, we normally have to do all those little housekeeping things with with our each of our guests as they come on board during the ad break. And I just realized I've got so much to talk to Camilla about. I don't know how we're going to get it all into this 20 minutes, but we're going to have to get right into it. Before we even get into all of the nitty gritty details, can you tell us, does social media actually affect our mental health?
That's such a great question. Yes, let's start with social media. Yes, it does affect our mental health, but we need to kind of see like how. Social media, let's start with social media has many great things. Like so many great things, like, it has friendship, the ability to have us network. It's also a place for our creativity. It also helps us to learn from other people across the world. Right now, what's happening in Palestine, we're able also to see that. So social media has a lot of great stuff. Gone are the days when distance was a barrier. And nowadays, with anyone, anywhere, you can share your feelings, your thoughts, your experience with a global audience instantly. So, social media has allowed us to connect across cultures, share diversity and perspectives around the world with common interests as well. Um, but it doesn't stop there because
Mhm.
this has also come with its own challenge. While social media has brought us closer, it has also introduced new problems, such as
Mm.
misinformation spread. Cyberbullying has become a huge, serious problem. The constant need for validation through likes, shares, and comments. And also, it has affected our mental health because it has become a comparison culture where people are
Mm.
constantly consuming what other people are doing and they feel bad about
Mhm.
themselves or they don't feel good enough for what they're doing because of what the other person is showing on the screen.
Mhm.
They feel like their lives ain't perfect. It creates a negative self image and a low self esteem. So
Yes.
while we think that social media has like shown us so great things, studies has actually shown that consuming too much social media can lead to anxiety, depression, and even loneliness.
Wow.
And as
So
social
like
media,
everything, yeah, sorry, I'm just going to jump in
mm,
there. So like everything, there's good and bad, and with everything, if we can just do it in moderation, I think
100%.
that'll help,
Yes,
because like you say, there are lots of positive things about social media. So, can you share
yes,
some common problems and concerns related to excessive social media use? I think that's where you were going to go now.
yes.
Mhm.
So basically, you want to know about the common problems. So social
Mhm.
media today, the common problems that we face, especially in social media, is the fact that so many people compare themselves with the rest of the people. They don't feel good enough about themselves. Their self worth go
Yes.
down.
Mhm.
So if not
And it
even
can lead to
that,
particular
another
mental health problems.
100% mental health problems. Uh, even health problems, such as you
Mm-hmm.
don't have enough sleep, because during the
Wow.
night you're busy scrolling, the blue light screen. So you're consuming also
Affects
all
you.
these negative feed on your For You page, and you go to sleep with that. That affects even like your mood. That
Mm.
affects your well-being and how you get to like be with your family as well. Another thing is our productivity is no longer the same. Ever since social media has been, this huge platform, whether you're working or you're going to school, you're constantly on your phone. You get distracted by your phone. You're constantly checking on your phone, like what's popping up, and that doesn't lead you to being focused. Therefore, your productivity lacks as an individual.
So,
Another
I mean,
problem
I
that
can sorry, I was just going to say I can
mm-hmm,
personally
mm-hmm,
attest to that. I mean, I know if my phone is close to me and I'm working and if I'm constantly checking on it,
yes,
and sometimes I actually have to put the phone quite far away from me so that I can focus and finish a task because otherwise I'll get distracted by it.
yes,
So, I mean, it's
yes.
important that we learn to reduce our social media usage throughout the year. And how can we do that? I mean, apart from physically putting your phone away, are there any other tricks or hints that you can share with us? I think, especially when we're working or during times like Ramadan, when we need to be more internally focused. I mean, is there a way for us to think, okay, how are we going to limit this? And what are the benefits of limiting social media exposure?
Okay. So, firstly, we need to understand that social media has become our daily routine. Whether you wake up, you check your emails, you check like your Facebook, your Instagram, it has become a bit of a routine. So we need to learn
Mm-hmm.
exactly how to moderate that. We need to learn when to use our social media and what to use it actually for. So, especially now that you've been speaking about Ramadan, in Ramadan, what we can also do is we can learn how to deactivate our social medias. Deactivate your social media, delete your social media apps if you can't moderate it. Another thing that you can also do is when you go into like your platform, whether it's Instagram or TikTok, you go into your settings. In one of the settings buttons, there's something called the time management. And when you go into your
Mm-hmm.
time management, it gives you like your daily usages that you can use. So if you prefer to be on TikTok for like an hour a day, you can just click there. So after an hour, it will tell you that you need to exit, and that's completely for the rest of the day. But if you can't, be so disciplined, delete your apps. And
Mm-hmm.
during your free time, because that's exactly what we do, we try to fill our free time with social media. So during our free time, what we can do is read the Quran. Go read
Mm-hmm.
Islamic books, educate yourself. Also connect with real people, because social media has made us feel that everybody's connected to us, which is not true, because we are connected to them, but only through the phone. So go out, have face-to-face interactions. If you do have children, they need to have time to also go outside and play, because in today's time, everybody's like a tablet child. Everybody's mixed and like glued onto their phone, from the parent to the child. So it's basically just like learn how to let your children play outside, socialize. You can also
Mm-hmm.
put down a bit of rules and say, children are supposed to, or you as an adult, use your phone from a certain time to a certain time. That will also help
Mm-hmm.
you.
Yes.
So social
So
media
I
can
think
be,
yes, I think it's very important that
yeah,
we become disciplined about it, that we understand that
yeah,
much as it's got all of these positive things, social media has all of these positive aspects. At the same time, we need to make sure we're controlling it. So, like you say, put on the time
yes,
management, put off the phone
yes.
for a while, delete the app. So, rather than letting it control us, we should be taking charge and controlling it so that we have more time to do real things with real people, which I think is so
Yes,
important. And I mean, I've noticed it myself, when the kids are, in their heads are in the screen all the time, they become less communicative, they become
yes,
short, they
yes.
become, you can see that, you can actually see that if you have to take the phone away for a while, that makes a huge difference. So on that
Mm.
note, can you share, apart from what you've already said, is there anything that parents and caregivers can do to model and enforce healthy social media behavior for children and adolescents? I mean, we always say the best teacher is, to teach by example. So, what should parents be doing or considering? How should they moderate themselves?
That's such an important question. It's
Mm-hmm.
so important, that question that you asked. Thank you. So, what I would love to say is that parents, or even like caregivers, have a big role when it comes to setting healthy social media habits for young people, for children, for teenagers. And what they can do is, first of all, set clear boundaries and limits. Establish
Mm-hmm.
rules around the house, like social media can be used from a certain time to a certain time. But when it's, for example, you'll have no screen time during meals or before bed,
Mm.
which can help them balance between online and offline activities. Another
Mm.
thing is, it's so important. I don't know how to emphasize this. It's so important that the parents do the same, because what happens is the children mirror exactly what they see. If you're constantly on your phone and you're checking out your phone, your children are going to do the same thing. You don't go outside, you don't interact. The children see that and they follow your path. Another thing that is so important for the parents to do, and is so key, is to keep conversations about social media ongoing. Ask the
Mm-hmm.
children, like, what are they doing on social media? Like, oh, what are you doing? Ask them basically like how they feel about whatever they perceive was, because it's so important to to have open conversations about this, so that when kids one thing about kids is that when they feel heard and supported, they're most likely to open up about anything that goes wrong on social media. So if
Yes.
people, especially nowadays, social media is like people can just have like pretend to be someone else and have this picture, and you think like you're chatting to someone and then you leak some information, and then everything can go wrong. So it's
Yes.
important to talk to your children about all these safeties.
Yes, I think
And
it's
I
very,
think,
very important for parents to be able to
Mhm.
create that space for children to feel happy and confident to come to them with any problem. You know,
Yes,
so to always give them the understanding that yes, no matter what happens, I'm on your side. And you can always
yes,
count on me, and you can always come to me first, right? So, on that note, I'd like to ask you another question, specifically in relation to how social media often creates unrealistic expectations, right? For women,
yes,
especially,
yes.
whether it's about appearance, success, their relationships. And how can women, especially young girls, in their formative years, and they're so
Hmm.
influenced by all of this, how can they build resilience against these pressures that are there all the time? It's in your face. You almost can't avoid it because our phone is almost a second, it's an extension of our body. It's
Yes.
attached to our hand all the time. How do we
Hmm.
build resilience against these pressures and protect our mental health?
Okay, that's so important. First of all, what I would love to say is that what's so important is that I think as a parent and as a society, what we need to teach these young girls is that these beauty standards that are created aren't real on social media. And we need to learn how to accept ourselves, because today everybody is using a filter. Everybody is,
That's right.
creating some sort of like an image of how beauty should be, how you should dress yourself, what career you should have at a certain age. I mean, you get onto TikTok, you find yourself with the same age group, but they're doing so much more, and you feel like pressurized about that as a young girl. So you end up
Mm-hmm.
also like trying to take initiative, but you're obviously doing it in the wrong way. So
Mm-hmm.
it's so important that parents and society learns how to like have that conversation ongoing and make sure that that's not real what you're seeing on the screen. Another thing is, as parents, what we can also do, what you can do is that encourage your children to follow positive content. Like help them
Mm-hmm.
find accounts and pages that are inspiring, positive, healthy habits,
Yes.
and to
Mm.
avoid focusing on unrealistic beauty standards or toxic behavior, or even like
Mm.
these days so many people have podcasts, and you'll find like, especially men having podcasts, and putting down all these like unrealistic expectations, and then women having podcasts and putting these unrealistic expectations on men. And what's important is to have offline conversations, because online
Yes.
is real, but it's not real. You know
Mm.
what I mean? It's
Yes.
important to have offline activities, whether it's going for sports, reading books, so that you engage in real world activities and engage and get to see what the real world is actually all about without being online.
Yeah.
So
So I think I sorry,
setting clear
just
guidance is very important.
yeah, I think you what you're saying is very important because like you say there's positive and negative, and that's true of everything and anybody, you know. There's not everything is
Mm,
all bad and not everything is all good. So to guide our children on making the right choices, finding the right type of content, I think that's so important. So
mm,
yeah, thank you for that. Then the other question, that the other important thing that I want to talk about is cyberbullying. I mean, this is becoming such a problem, you know. Bullying, as we know, is a problem, you know. And normally,
yes.
or 10 years ago, 20 years ago, when social media wasn't so prevalent and we weren't online all the time, kids would get bullied at school and then they'd come home. And at least at that point, they're not exposed to the bullying. You know, at least they have a few hours
Yes.
when things are not all the time. They're not feeling bullied and they're not feeling pressurized by that. But now with cyberbullying, they're online all the time and they can get all the negative comments and all the harshness that people can
Hmm.
do all the time. So how do we combat this growing problem, because it can have devastating effects on mental health, and as parents,
Yes.
how do we spot these signs and how do we put in place things or implement things that can prevent this thing from going out of proportion and becoming a huge problem for children?
That's so important. But previously I've mentioned that it's so important to have
Mm,
open communication. So we come back to that, having
mhm,
open communication
mhm,
about social. We ask them what are they seeing, what they like, who they're interacting with. It's
mhm,
important for them to know and for them to feel like if they have any problem, so if they are bullied online as well, they can turn to their parents
mm,
without being judged because they know
mm,
that's a safe space. So, first, importantly, is to have open communication with your children. And then, secondly, is to teach them. What's very important is to teach them all and educate them about safety and privacy. Teach your children how to protect their personal information. Teach them how to learn what to share online and not what to share. Because most of the people, when you look at today's time, you take a picture
mm,
at a restaurant, you take a picture and then you post it. The next best thing, the person knows exactly where you are. A
mm,
lot of bad things can go wrong there. They can follow you, you can be stalked. They can write all negative stuff about you, but it's important also to teach your children that, all this negativity, to teach them the self-worth. So if your child knows that, whatever this next person is saying on social media, it's not me. It's not like they're just bullying me. Secondly, is to try and report as many times as possible. Have also your adults informed about all these stuff that are happening online. That's very, very important. And then learn how to set limits. For example, limit your comments. For if people try to comment, you don't receive too many negativity on your For You page of people commenting negative stuff. And if someone is writing you directly, it's important to share that with your parents, and your parents can take a further step, even as to going to the police, and learn how to block, to report, especially in today's time. Thanks that we do have features about reporting, and you can say exactly why you're reporting that person. And social media, for example, Instagram or TikTok or Facebook, they can handle that as in banning that person's platform. And that is such a positive thing that can. So there are safety ways to help you like manage this cyberbullying. Marv, you still there?
Okay, cool. Thank you. Can you hear me now? Sorry, I something happened, but I just want to
Gee, I can.
wrapping up. It's time for us to move on to our next interview. But I just want to wrap up with that, with a few things that you said in your last conversation, which is so important. The fact that we need to have open communication with our children,
Yes.
and teach them their self worth. Because if they value themselves, no matter what they're hearing online or from other people, they'll
Mm,
understand this is not who I am, this is not me. And very, very important as well to make sure we're teaching our children about safety and privacy. I mean, we have those settings, all of the apps have those settings where you can restrict
yes.
or limit certain information from going out. And why not use those things? The technology is in place, so let's make sure we're doing everything that we can to protect ourselves and our children, because these kinds of things can have a lasting impact on our mental health. And on that note, I'd like to say thank you very, very much to our expert, Camilla Knight-Morake, who's given us some very, very interesting insights and lots of things to think about. Thank you so much again, and good luck and well done on all the good work that you do. And I wish you all the best in the future. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu
Jazakallah.
alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa
Walaikum
barakatuh.
salam.
And at that break, we'll